The Guard Market is a digital marketplace that provides customers with access to licensed security professionals on demand. Let's face it, you have a lot to do running your business, and security, well, that's our business. We take the hassle out of searching, vetting, and scheduling private security guards for your unique needs. Just tell us what you need, when you need it, and we'll handle the rest. Guard Market security service partners are carefully screened and thoroughly vetted to meet the demanding needs of our diverse client base. Using advanced technology, we match you with the most qualified service provider based upon your specific needs and geographic requirements. For more information, you can visit our website at www.theguardmarket.com and call Andrew at 732-266-9344 with your service requests today. The Guard Market, security on demand.
There we go. All right. Well, the microphone was shut off on me. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Three Rivers Broadcasting. I'm Alex Fidryshevsky. I'll be with you for the next 58 minutes or so to bring you around the world of soccer. It's time for the Corner Kick here, brought to you tonight by our title sponsor, Mother of Mercy Academy, here in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, in the Baldwin section of Pittsburgh. Principal Don Militzer, we'd like to thank him for working with us here, in the entire Diocese of Pittsburgh is one of our title sponsors for the Corner Kick. You can catch us every Monday night, Three Rivers Broadcasting.com. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about, you can see it on the bottom of the screen, Pittsburgh Riverhounds, big win at the weekend. Our hometown team over Hartford Athletic, 3-1. We'll get into that in the second portion of the show. More importantly than that, if you watched last night, you know how great it was. Team USA wins the Gold Cup, and what a fantastic performance from the United States. And I think even more so the fact that this wasn't the A team. This was the B to B minus, maybe even you could argue a C level U.S. group. Mexico had 7 of 11 from the Nations League final. The U.S. had 1. So this was as far away from the A group as the U.S. could have gone in this tournament. Going into the final, the Mexican 11 had, on average, about twice as many international appearances as the Americans. And the U.S. went in there and old school smash and grab, got the job done. It was very reminiscent of what you would have seen in the 90s from John Harkes and Tab Ramos and Richie Williams and Eric Winalda and, Alexi Lalas and Marcelo Balboa and those types of players, where they went in and just fought and grinded, and it was chippy, and they would commit fouls, and they were physical themselves, and they were fine to take fouls and give them right back. And the referee, I give him credit. He did a very, very good job. Said Martinez from Honduras, he managed the game very well. There were 1 or 2 spots where something might have been able to go the other way, specifically 72nd minute when Herrera came in with that high boot. He knew what he was doing. He had a visual of the U.S. player. He just went for it anyway. In a normal situation, if that was Europe, straight red. But because it's CONCACAF, it's a yellow. Unless an American does it, then it would be a straight red. But that's neither here nor there. Early on, the U.S. came out and faced quite a bit of pressure from the Mexicans. They went looking for a call early. Funes Mori dragged his feet on a heavy touch by Turner in net. He was trying to clear. Funes Mori went to ground crying for it, nothing in it. And that was a bit of a theme where the Mexican team was looking for calls throughout the game. And I think Funes Mori was lucky that he didn't go into the book himself. He should have within the first half hour for the number of embellishments he took. And that kind of bothers me no matter who does it. Forget whether it's the U.S. against Mexico or anywhere. The fact that that's allowed, that these players, they'll go to ground once, they'll go to ground twice, third time soft, and finally after the 4th or 5th time, the referee did step in and say, "Hey, no more. You're not doing this again." Or and he pointed to the pocket. I'm going to book you if you do this again. There has to be consequences for diving. If we go to video review, which I hate VAR in soccer. It's killing the sport. It's killing it. But if we're going to go there and say, yes, there was contact, that's a penalty kick, if it's clear, and it was clear on where Funes Mori dragged his feet, that there's no contact, you have to penalize the other way. It can't just be all, okay, it's a penalty kick, or no, it's not, that's it. No. If it's a penalty kick, that's big consequence. If you dive and there's nothing in it, you need to get a yellow card for it too. That's just my take on that. I thought the U.S. played physical early on, which they needed to. They were fine to commit fouls. It established from the get-go that this group was here to play, and they didn't have any intentions of backing down or playing on the back foot as far as being afraid. Early on, Turner comes up with a great save on Funes Mori, full extension, kind of the second push-off, strong left-handed save. I thought one of the nicest parts of that sequence afterwards was Moreno and Turner kind of sharing an embrace. He knew it was a hell of a stop, and he kind of gave him the pat, and that was a good one. So Williamson he took a knock in the first half, got hit with a cross to the head. He recovered. Mexico in the first half, excellent pace out wide. It's very clear Tata knows how to stretch the U.S. defense, and I still say, even though Berhalter's nicked him twice here, Tata's a little superior to Berhalter as a gaffer. And I know I got heat for that last night on Twitter, on social media, from people saying, oh, no, Berhalter's arrived. If you watch the Nations League final, he got out-coached from the opening kick. They won on guts. Last night, the first half, he got outmanaged by Tata Martino. The U.S. had to hunker down, weather the storm, stay compact in the center of defense, and it was clear that this A- Mexican side, which there were, after the game, of course, how many Mexican fans saying, oh, no, this wasn't the A- side. We were missing Ochoa and Chicharito, and it's like, no, you had 7 of 11 from the Nations League final. That's your A team. We had 1 of 28. You had 7 of your 11. The media, though, the Mexican media, let Tata have that after the game. Their fans were, a lot of the fans, you could see it, and some were even sending tweets to me about, no, not the A team. The Mexican press was brutal to Tata after the match. Like, oh, it's an embarrassment that our A team lost to the C team of the Americans, isn't it? He got hit hard. What else? First half. Like I said, Funes Mori given the leash to take the dives by the referee. Serial embellishment needs to be cut out in this game. U.S. squanders its first chance on 25 minutes. Pounce on the back line of Mexico to create the turnover. They're shaky in the back. If you pressure the Mexican back line, you can turn them over. Lletget pounced on it. He got Arriola open. Arriola tries to be cheeky and go near post. Hits it off the outside. Goes wide. Great chance. I said then, Paul Arriola is a above average American player. He's one of those guys. He's in MLS who at 26 is in that now or never, and he could push on and really be a top player on the A group, but he can't finish. He has the pace. He has the skill set. He has the awareness on the pitch. He's positionally always in a good spot. He knows how to move off the ball, and he can create opportunities. But what keeps Paul Arriola here, besides a large paycheck from the league, he can't finish. And 8.5 out of 10 in MLS, nobody's taking your spot. He'll start for DC for the next 10 years. You go to Copenhagen, Anderlecht, Bruges, Rapid Vienna, 8.5 out of 10 isn't going to get you on the pitch as an attacker. If you can't finish, they're not going to put you out there. So Arriola he's one of those guys who's 90% there, but he's not 100. As the half went on, Mexicans continued to probe, backline up to the task, and was the whole night. Funes Mori got another good look inside the 6. Turner comes up big again. Turner is in the pool is set for the goalkeepers now. It's Horvath and Steffen and Turner. I still think that Steffen's the starter and Horvath is in a solid spot as the number 2. Turner's the third goalkeeper, and Turner at 27 can still go to Europe. He's young, quote unquote young as a goalkeeper. He can go and play for 10 years. He's still there, and I think if they can get him abroad, it could be beneficial. He's more complete than Bill Hamid was when Bill Hamid went abroad. I said 10 years ago. Well, I guess it was 9 years ago. 2012, Bill Hamid burst on the scene with DC United. And then I was saying on the radio already in Bethlehem, Bill Hamid needs to go to Europe now. He's 21, 22 years old. They'll work on the crossing because he can't judge crosses to save his life. They'll work with him on it. He's great at everything else. He's super athletic. He can cover the goal. He's good. They can make him a European starter and into the national team goalkeeper for the next decade. They didn't sell him, and they held him and held him and held him, and that crossing issue stayed there, and nobody fixed it. And then when he did go to Midtjylland, it was too late. Turner's more complete. Yes, he's 27. He's the same age that Hamid was when he went. But Turner is more complete. They got to make a move. He's good enough where if he does get over there, he could push Stefan for the number 1 spot. He was fantastic last night and in this whole tournament. Within the first half hour, Mexicans won 5 corner kicks. And it just kept going and going and going. It got up to probably about 12 or 13 at some point, 14, 15. I'd have to look at the stats by the end of the game. But to that point, corner kicks are also they are among the lowest percentage scoring opportunities in the sport. Roughly 10%. It's actually under that. Roughly 10% of corner kicks result in a goal. And it's under that. Atlanta United's George Bello played really well in the first half hour. His clearances were timely. He closed out on the wingers well. Just 19 years old, breaking in now with Atlanta United. Big European future for George Bello for sure. And we'll get into that about this, the whole European future. The U.S. got its next decent chance on 40 minutes. They survived a tight spot in the back, pulled it together. Acosta hits a beautiful, beautiful left-footed, his weak foot, switch to Hoppy. Hoppy plays a fantastic first-time ball to Zardes, who, in my opinion, made the wrong run. And it's easy for me to say sitting at home, but this isn't the first time that Zardes made the wrong run. To me, where they're going down the field at that point, the back shoulder run isn't the one for me. When you're coming down in transition like that, hit first time, I think, for me at least, running the interior channel is the way to go. If you get tangled up with the center back, maybe it's a foul on you. Maybe you get the penalty kick. To me, run the interior. If you run that interior channel, I can't really do it visually. He's at the back shoulder. Run the interior channel going at the goal. And maybe you get tangled up. Maybe you get the penalty kick. Or maybe you beat the defender to the ball and it's in the back of the net. Final few minutes of the half, Mexico, multiple opportunities, dangerous situations. U.S. kind of helter-skelter in the back line. Saw through it. 0-0. Halftime, you come out, Mexico scrambles the U.S. back line, 48, 49 minutes in. Orbelin Pineda with the miss of the night. It was worse than Areola. He had plenty of time to load the cannon and blasted it wide. The Areola miss, I get it. He was trying to go to the near post. The goalie came out. He closed it down half well, but Pineda's miss was bad. He had time, settle, touch, look. Wasn't even close. 2 minutes later, 3 minutes later, Gallardo comes down to get a chance. James Sands, New York City center back defensive midfielder who's seemingly morphing into a center back now at the national team level and probably when he goes to Europe, was able to recover and run him. Gallardo's second touch betrayed him. Took it past the end line, out for a goal kick. Mexican pressure continued. More opportunities off of rush passes. The U.S. backline, though, continuing to stand tall. Corner kick in the 55th. Zardes comes up with 2 clearances in the sequence. Defending starting to become a team effort now for the United States. And Zardes, who struggled going the other way against a more elite team, made up for it with his work rate and his defensive work rate was great. As the match started to play forward past 60, the U.S. got a little injection after a trio of subs come on in the 65th minute. That was Vines, Moore, and Roldan. Vines for Bello, Moore for Reggie Cannon. Got some fresh legs out at the wingback positions. Roldan in for Sebastian Lletget in the center of the park, who worked his tail off this whole tournament. And Roldan, again, up to task. Great shift from him. But you could see the Mexican team was starting to get frustrated. And their fans started to get frustrated. Kellen Acosta, who has been good, not great for club and country, a player who I have said for multiple years needs to be gone. They needed to move him to Europe, get him the bite. That he's never had the bite. He's good. He can break things up when he's on his game and he brings his A game. He is a major player. He is a national team A-team starter in the center of the park when he's bringing his A game. He is a guy who is starting for a team that is in the Europa League group stages, if not the Champions League group stage, when he's on his A game. The problem with Kellen Acosta is he's only brought it 1 out of 10. 9 games, it's not there, and then the 1 game it comes. Well, luckily for the United States last night, it was the 1 game that it came from Kellen Acosta. Boss-level stuff in midfield the whole night. His work rate through the roof. Fantastic. Broke up challenges, got stuck in, fearless out there. Spraying balls forward out of the defensive midfield position. A-level work. If you saw Kellen Acosta last night and didn't know that this was 1 out of 10 from him, you would sit there and go, how is this guy not playing in the Premier League? How is this guy not playing in the Bundesliga? How is this guy not playing in Ligue 1? And I don't mean at Troyes in 14th place. How is this guy not playing at Marseille? How is this guy not playing at Borussia Dortmund? How is this guy not playing at Southampton or Everton or Newcastle, some mid-level Premier League team, maybe even higher, with the way he played? He's elite. He's one of the best. The problem with Acosta is that's never there every game. If it's there every game, Kellen Acosta is in Europe at a major club. Hoppy did well. Tough kid. Just came through a relegation battle at Schalke, looking like he's on the move. Did well, try to make work of a couple of poor chances from Zardes, create second situations. There was a free kick on 73 minutes that started to shift the momentum further towards the U.S., but Zardes and Areola bundled the chance. And that's starting to become a thing where Zardes and Areola bundle the chance. And as I said earlier, Areola is 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10 as far as being complete. He can't finish. He's a fantastic winger, has the pace, can't finish. Gyasi Zardes, excellent work rate. In a game like last night, Jozy Altidore would have probably been frustrated and walking, pissed off. Because he would have been getting clipped. He would have been frustrated. They would have gotten his head. In that regard, bravo to Zardes. He knew he was going to get clipped. He knew he was going to get elbowed. He knew that they were going to be chippy, but his work rate continued and continued and continued. Great from him. But at the next level, Zardes can't finish. He got a great goal against Qatar, but Qatar's not the next level. They're hosting the World Cup. Qatar's not going to make it out of the group stage without a little home cooking. Some shades of Korea, Japan 2002. The issue with Zardes that keeps him as a B team player is in the A team games, or the games that could be where he really, really cements himself. He can't get it done. And that happened again. But he at least he made up for it and rewarded kind of Berhalter for trusting him by working his butt off last night. Right after that is where Herrera sees yellow for the boot. Lucky not to get set off. Lucky. No way that was going to happen as CONCACAF. They're not going to do that. Not to the Mexican team in Vegas. With a crowd that's probably 70% for them. They're the best supported team in the United States. That's general consensus among the soccer reporters and fans and media and whoever. The best supported soccer team in America is not the Seattle Sounders. It's not Manchester United. It's the Mexican national team. There's a reason that the qualifier is in Cincinnati. There's a reason that for 20 years, 2-0 happened in Columbus. The Mexico qualifier is in Cincinnati on a Friday night. Coming up in November. And Costa Rica is now coming to Columbus in October. So Mexico's got the support, and there's no way that a referee was going to pull straight red on Herrera for that. Should have. Deserved it. Absolutely, no question about it, deserved it. The game kind of settled for a little bit, and as we went into extra time, I feel like the balance remained the same. The U.S. was starting to prod a little more. They stood tall in the back. Start of extra time, Zardes hits another weak chance. He was going to do the haul with DK. You know, he needs surgery. I wasn't aware how bad the shoulder was. JJ let me know during the game when I put out a tweet about, like, DK's not going to get in. They're going to go the distance with Zardes. And JJ said, he goes, hey, he's got to go the distance. DK's banged up bad. So Zardes had to see it out. And he did. Give him credit. That guy busted his butt. The U.S. got its goal, 118th minute. Free kick, Acosta again. If Kellen Acosta could do this every game, Kellen Acosta would be lock, stock, captain of the A team and playing at a major club in Europe, not the Colorado Rapids. He'd be playing for maybe Kroenke's other team. Hits a perfectly weighted ball that finds Robinson, puts the U.S. in the lead off the header. Absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. Perfectly weighted ball. Robinson out jumps the Mexican defender, puts the U.S. into the lead. And that was it. And they held it out. Kessler from New England gets his first cap with, a minute to go. Defender to just kill it off. Came in for Hoppy, and the U.S. did the job. So, with some final thoughts on that. Matt Turner, as I said, is established himself as the third keeper. The New England backstopper has been excellent this entire tournament. Big time stops yesterday. He's in the elite of U.S. keepers, and I said this, I would argue he deserves a transfer to Europe, to a pretty decent sized club, to join Horvath and Steffen over there and get in and get match time and fight for match time. And then we got 3 goalkeepers over there, which is always when the U.S. is at its best. When we were always able to pull from Keller, Friedel, Hahnemann. And, you had 3, 4. Tim Howard started breaking, and then you had, 4 of them over there. The U.S. has some very good goalkeepers. And, I think Turner's worthy. The entire back line could go to Europe and start today at most clubs. The whole back line. Everybody that played there last night. Bello, Robinson, Sands, Cannon, Vines, and more. Every single one of them. Now, to that, Shaq Moore is at Tenerife. in the Segunda in Spain. Cannon just went over last year to Boa Vista in Portugal. Pretty decent-sized club in Porto. But and Vines is on his way. It looks like he's headed to Antwerp in Belgium. That leaves, again, Bello, Sands, and Robinson. All three of them could go over there. Bello's 19. Sands is 21, I believe, just turned 21. It's time. And the New York fans know it. The New York City media knows it. There were a lot of them putting that out last night. Shh, don't tweet about James Sands. Don't worry, guys. He's part of the City Football Group family. Everybody knows about James Sands. And if they didn't know about Sands, the scouts know about him now after the way he played in this tournament. Sands is destined for a big club. Bello, same thing. At 19, maybe 2 more years in Atlanta. Really cement himself and go at 21. And for Miles Robinson at 24, having broken through, it's also getting to be the time where I think you could make the argument that Miles Robinson deserves the move too. And I think with Sands, he could have the most elite trajectory of that crop. He platoons for both New York City and the national team in multiple positions. He can play defensive midfield or center back. I'm not sure he's ready to go into, say, the Premier League type situation just yet at 21, but I could see him moving through towards Red Bull Salzburg, becoming part of that family, though I don't know if City Football Group would want to sell to an MLS quote-unquote rival who could then potentially loan him back to New York on the red team instead of the blue team. But, a team like a Salzburg or a Copenhagen or Rapid Vienna or Zurich, one of those Swiss teams that's half decent, young boys, Basel, Belgium, Netherlands, as an entry point at 21. And 2-3 years from now, ready for the next one. And again, Jossie Zardes, I'm pretty critical of. He showed he can get it done against B-level. The goal against Qatar was, again, big from that standpoint. His struggles at the higher level against the Mexicos show that he's just not an A-team guy in the finishing sense. He's a great B-team player. He can work his butt off. He's just, I don't know if he really has a place in the A group. His biggest upside is the work rate. Like I said, a game like this, Josie's probably frustrated, showing it. Zardes kept his calm, kept his cool, kept chugging, put in the work on the defensive side of the ball when called upon. Paul Arriola at 26 is kind of now or never to go. If he's going to push on, whether it's domestically or abroad, he's right there on the edge of the A group. And he should be able to break in and be a starter and a regular and a European player. The skill set's there. His movement off the ball is superb. His finishing's not. It's not too late for that to be corrected. I don't know if DC's the place. He's getting paid well. But again, he's not threatened there. His spot's never in question. At some of these other clubs, you go to Europe, at some of these bigger clubs, 8.5, like I said, 8.5 out of 10. It's just not going to get the job done. And I'm not trying to say this to be critical of what happened last night. That was a great performance. I'm really pleased. It was full of guts. It was tough. They did everything they needed to do to score that victory. It's just saying that, okay, like let's start compartmentalizing. There's 6 or 7 guys from this match last night who can, maybe more, who will be able to push and fight at the next group over the next 2 cycles. These young guys who will have, again, they'll have 2 cycles. They will. I don't know if these guys have it. That's what I'm trying to say. It's that they're missing one component that these other guys bring at their positions. They're missing one component. And that holds them back a little bit out of the next group. Eric Williamson, 24-year-old, just 4 caps to his name. Great job last night. He was a little iffy in the first 10 minutes. I think there were some jitters. This was probably the biggest situation that he's ever had to face. Coming out of Portland Timbers. And he only made his debut in the Gold Cup against Haiti. So his first 4 caps came now. Really broke through with the Timbers last year. This is, at 24, essentially his first year on the scene. He showed that I would put him in the better of this group, the better of the kind of B-ish, C-ish group. I don't know if there's a future outside the league for him, but he certainly did the job last night. For a host of them, there is. With a guy, Bucio's on his way out. The backline guys all have fantastic upside. All of them. They got fantastic upside. There's a few of the younger guys that are over already. Hoppy and Joachini are both over there. Schalke and Kahn. DK will be on his way. He needs the surgery, but DK will be on his way. So you're starting to see who's moving out of that group. Kellen Acosta he's on his way out of it, but I don't know if he's out of it yet. He'll be called into the A-team games. He'll be called into the qualifiers off of what he did in this tournament, and he should be. But he's got to be able to bring the heat. Especially, come November when you got Mexico in Cincinnati. That's probably the first one you're going to need him in. Actually, no, I'm going to take that back. The first one you're going to need Acosta to bring the A game like he did last night is going to be September 8th in Honduras. That's going to be probably the first time they need him to really step up and be at the elite. They should handle El Salvador without a problem, considering they hit him for 6 with the, C-ish team in a friendly in December. They should get past El Salvador down in San Salvador. Even if they got to go down there, they should hit 3 or 4. September 5th against Canada in Nashville will be a tricky one because Canada will be at full strength, but so will we. A little bit of squad rotation will have to happen in those two. And then they'll have to do a little hunker in and get ready to be fouled like hell when they go to San Pedro Sula. I don't know if there's a time on the game yet, but the way Honduras usually does things is they give the entire country the day off. There's a massive party the night before. They show up outside the visiting team, whether it's U.S., Mexico, Canada, hotel. They have a party until about 5 in the morning. They let off flares and smoke bombs and play loud noise and drums so nobody sleeps. And then they play the game, because let's face it, we can't be professional about this crap. They play the game at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's 109 degrees with 99% humidity, and anything they can do to give themselves an edge, they do, which is why I think when, Honduras has to play the U.S. in a qualifier, we should go play them at a high school stadium in Fairbanks, Alaska in December. You want to try to roast us in the heat? Fine. We'll play in Alaska. That would be a good way to do it. But that's where they'll need him next. It'll really be September 8th. And then they'll need him again against Mexico. He's going to have to come up big when they call on him. And I think they trust him, Acosta, as an A-team player. But for me, he's there. He's just got to be consistent. He's got to make these types of performances that you saw in the last 2 games of the Gold Cup. He's got to do it every time. And I think some of it, is club and country. I was talking to Coach about it today, and he said, you got to remember, to be fair to Acosta, this Colorado Rapids team is kind of they were middling in the Western Conference last year. It's very clear that Stan Kroenke could care less about the Colorado Rapids. They're 4th in the West right now. Respectable. 8 wins, 4 losses, and 3 draws. It's pretty good. Pretty good season thus far as they near the turn. But they're not at the top. He doesn't necessarily have the best midfielders around him. I actually think that might be their worst position. And I think that as a result, that's why Colorado just went and got Mark Anthony Kaye from LAFC, Canadian national team defensive midfielder. Now you're going to put Kaye and Acosta next to each other. Do the Colorado Rapids maybe have the best 1-2 punch in defensive midfield in Major League Soccer? Probably. That's how you shore it up. Not only do you take one of America's maybe top 3 defensive midfielders, you go get the best Canadian defensive midfielder. Samuel Piette may argue against that or Arfield, but he's in the top 3 for them. You get the both of them together, you got a pretty darn good center midfield. The center, your defensive midfield's set. And they're strong up the spine then at that point. Probably helps Colorado a little bit, but, doesn't, to me, I can understand, okay, maybe he doesn't have the best around him, but he's still got to elevate himself every game to get there. But that was a good opening segment. Really, really enjoyed the match last night. It was riveting. I was kind of on the edge of my seat. I know it was kind of BC team, and there's not necessarily a reason to, what are you going to do? It's not the Nations League final or the goal. It's not, you don't have this A-team atmosphere. For me, I was probably more vested and more excited about it because I wanted to see these young guys come through. And they did. And they played their heads off to get the job done. And now World Cup qualifying awaits. And if you're in Western Pennsylvania, coming up in the next spell, you got 2 opportunities within a 4-hour drive to support the United States if you can grab some tickets. October 13th is Costa Rica in Columbus. That's a weeknight. And then November 12th is a Friday in Cincinnati against Mexico. And if you've ever done USA-Mexico, it's a blast. Especially the night before the game. We did it. JJ and I did it out in Columbus the last go around where it didn't work out for us. 2-0 ended in Columbus that night. As Josie chose not to mark Rafa Marquez on a corner kick late in the game. That's neither here nor there. So you got 2 opportunities. It's Columbus and Cincinnati. Costa Rica, October 13th. Mexico, November 12th. They also have Canada and Nashville if you're really adventurous on September 5th, World Cup qualifier. But now begins the slog. We're not dealing with Camp Cupcake. There's no Camp Cupcake in January because of the way this Qatar World Cup is going to run, which, again, we'll get into it as we get closer to qualifying. There was some fishy stuff that went on that got Qatar that World Cup. Everybody knows it, and nobody ever looked into it. And FIFA looked the other way. Sounds familiar. FIFA likes to do that, I think. Look the other way. That's their thing. Because based on their own report, Qatar was essentially the bottom of the list to host the thing. When they had their kind of internal safety recommendations, they were at the bottom and the U.S. was at the top. But the U.S. has 26, and that's fine. But the idea of a Qatar World Cup, you couldn't play it in the summer. Not when it's 140 degrees. But as a result, we get the convoluted Winter World Cup. Hopefully they'll learn their lesson and it'll never happen again. But it's a slog now in qualifying. There's no Camp Cupcake in January. There's no winter friendlies where the MLS guys come in and clobber Trinidad and the Bahamas and Cayman Islands and whoever the heck else they can get, that to come up and beat on from their domestic leagues. You just roll right through all the way now. There's no March friendlies. It's March qualifiers, 3 of them. 3 qualifiers at the end of January and into February. The fact that there is now this depth, that we see. And hopefully by the end of the summer window, these guys I talked about, Vine's deal will be done. Robinson can maybe grab a move. Sands can maybe grab a move. Bello is continuing to progress at Atlanta. Maybe Turner's gone. Busio can complete his move to Europe. If you can pull that off, now you got your depth. You got 40, 50 guys now. You do. We're hitting the point where there's 40, probably 40 guys, maybe more, capable of being a part of this group. Maybe 50 across the two teams. It's getting to the position where that's advantageous. Plenty of wingers, plenty of attackers, starting to develop more players in the center part of the park. They're going to need them with World Cup qualifying, and it's just the slog now. And you got to go through the World Cup qualifying, and you got a bunch of trips to Central America, and those are never easy. El Salvador, Honduras, Panama, and Costa Rica, and then Mexico on top of it. There was no real reprieve. You didn't get the second team out of the Caribbean. You know, there's no Trinidad in this one. So the legs are going to be tired. The legs are going to get hacked to pieces. So the fact that there's now depth, very important. We're going to take a pause for the cause, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about the Pittsburgh Riverhounds as we near the end of the show. Great win for them at the weekend.
The Guard Market is a digital marketplace that provides customers with access to licensed security professionals on demand. Let's face it, you have a lot to do running your business, and security, well, that's our business. We take the hassle out of searching, vetting, and scheduling private security guards for your unique needs. Just tell us what you need, when you need it, and we'll handle the rest. Guard Market security service partners are carefully screened and thoroughly vetted to meet the demanding needs of our diverse client base. Using advanced technology, we match you with the most qualified service provider based upon your specific needs and geographic requirements. For more information, you can visit our website at www.theguardmarket.com and call Andrew at 732-266-9344 with your service requests today. The Guard Market, security on demand.
Experts say that the most important time in a young child's life is elementary school, and the lessons they learn from kindergarten through 8th grade form the foundation for the rest of their lives. That's where Mother of Mercy Academy excels. For over 70 years, Mother of Mercy has provided a faith-based Catholic education to children in the South Hills. They offer an advanced curriculum, active arts, and full sports program with a Christ-centered experience. Mother of Mercy focuses on molding young minds intellectually, physically, and spiritually. Their goal is for children to become well-rounded individuals who are prepared for the next steps in life. Mother of Mercy Academy is located at the St. Gabriel campus, 5200 Greenridge Drive in the Baldwin section of Pittsburgh. They currently have an open enrollment period and can be reached at 412-882-3353. That's 412-882-3353. Mother of Mercy Academy, for faith, for family, for life.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank our title sponsor for Corner Kick this evening, Mother of Mercy Academy, here in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, in the Baldwin section of Pittsburgh. Jordan did a great job with that commercial. Thank you for that. She doing a great job for us here, along with Elijah. They're really driving us forward here. Very fortunate to have two great interns with us through Rivers Broadcasting. But again, if you are looking for a fantastic faith-based education for your child in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, look no further than Mother of Mercy Academy, a Christ-centered experience, and you can count on it for over 70 years at the St. Gabriel campus. They have provided a fantastic faith-based education, and I think our staff is proof of what that faith-based education can do. Every single one of us went to Catholic school, the whole team. Didn't know it, but every single one of us went to Catholic school, the whole team. Myself, the big man, Coach K, Scotty, who you never see. We don't even have his photo on the website because he's a little camera shy, but he does a lot of the kind of login and computer work for us. So Scotty went to 13 years of Catholic school, and we found out, Elijah went to Catholic school through high school. Jordan went to Catholic school as well. So we all got a great foundation. And I think you can see it in the way we all act. It's in the way we behave and the way we think. You really can't sum up what a faith-based education can do for you. So we'd like to, again, thank Mother of Mercy Academy and the Diocese of Pittsburgh for working with us here at Three Rivers Broadcasting. And great transition here to bring it back home to Pittsburgh as Alex Dixon's double shot the Riverhounds past Hartford at the weekend and into first place in front of a season-high crowd at Highmark Stadium, just a touch under 4,000. Fantastic. Looked a little light at the beginning, but they have a party tent now out there, and there was quite a contingent out there. And I also kind of noticed throughout the first half that where I was sitting there, I'm like, oh, first place on the line. Sure doesn't look like there's a huge crowd here tonight. Well, everyone seemingly migrated from the party tent to the pub inside the ground. As I started looking down there, paying a little more attention, I'm like, oh, there is a lot of people hanging out at the bar right now, and it was set up right outside. People walked right in. They were able to watch the game right at field level from there. And then the second half, everybody went up to their seats, and we're like, okay, yeah, there's a big crowd here tonight. But that was their first of those kind of pub outside the ground nights, and it was cool. I've always liked the pub inside the ground. It's a great concept. And I think that's been a successful winner for them over the years at Highmark Stadium. But this little party deck outside, that was a good idea by the Riverhounds, and I think it brought a good crowd down, and everybody had a good time. But Dixon scored the Hounds' first two goals, and Perez put the game away. They were losing 1-0 at halftime in spite of really having the run of play in the first half. They did just about everything you could do correctly. They had, I'm not sure off the top of my head, probably close to 70% of the possession. I mean, it was one-way traffic. I kind of posted up on the side the Hounds were attacking in each half because I had a feeling, based on what I've seen of Hartford, that and knowing the way the Riverhounds have played over the last month, that this could be one way. So I made sure I set up, I'm going to do whatever reporting, because I was flying solo. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to field level, and I'm going to do it whatever way they're going, because I don't think there's going to be a lot of action on the defensive side of the ball. And they did. 7 shots in the first half. Hartford took the lead against the run of play. Long ball over the top. Derek Dotson gets in. They hoofed it forward. Got it past Vitiello. Jeff Caldwell, all of his saves in the first half, 5 of them. Good double save, to deny a header from Williams, and then Dequa's follow-up. That was about half an hour in. Hounds came out in the second half and got on the board right away. 49th minute, great run to the back post by Dixon. Williams hits the cross. One-touch finish, beautiful goal. Couple minutes later, what was it, maybe 5 minutes, I guess they get another chance, and then kind of settled in after that. That was Dequa's header, just went over the bar. Free kick from Williamson goes wide of the post, and you can see now that it's coming. I think everybody knew it was coming. It wasn't a matter of if the Riverhounds were going to get the goal. It was just a matter of when. And if you followed our Three Rivers Broadcasting Instagram post, sometimes, and I texted this to Elijah, to Coach, and to Jordan, that sometimes you just get lucky. when you're doing this. Sometimes you set yourself up at the right angle, and you got your camera and you're in the right spot. You get an angel every now and then. I got one on Saturday night to catch great photos and a couple of quick clips of Dequa's header, the free kick from Williamson, Dixon's goal in the 83rd that put him in the lead. Great finish from him. And then a couple minutes after that, I guess it was 89th minute, they got the backbreaker. Williamson hits a header in the box. Perez turns, fires a shot, cross the goal. Second goal of the year, done. Well played. Start to finish. One little mistake in there, but otherwise the Hounds capitalized on what they needed to. Went to the post-game press conference. Manager Bob Lilly felt could have had more. And he's right. They could have. Could have had more. Plenty of chances. Could have had 5. Easy. Great saves from Caldwell, too, to keep them, at bay. They could have very easily hit 5. They had enough chances and just, they didn't put them away, but they did get the job done well. The man of the match for us was Alex Dixon. And not just for the 2 goals. He played as an outside back in the first half, started sliding a little higher in the second half. Hit at least a half a dozen crosses in. High work rate. Got into good spots. And 2 very, very good finishes. Pittsburgh will take a trip down to the Low Country, second one in a month, to take on the Charleston Battery on Friday at 7:30. It'll be a little different than the first go-around. That was 1-1 on July the 7th. That game was moved up in the afternoon due to the tropical storm that came through the Low Country that night. I was down there. I was hoping to try to grab the game when we were down there on vacation, but when they moved it, it was kind of like, they're not going to let anybody in, and, last-second media pass is usually tough to get is to begin with. To do it where they're saying, hey, we got to get everybody out of here and shut this place down, I think it was a pretty limited situation there. They let, one newspaper and their TV crew, and that was it. But 1-1 draw. Charleston was missing a couple of players, including Zako Lewis, who's, in my opinion, their most dangerous. He was with the Bermuda national team in the international break there. So he wasn't with the Battery. They got a couple of guys who were out, injured, knocked national team duties that are back now. But Pittsburgh is on a great run of form. This is also the turn of their season right now. The bulk of the matches fall within this 60-day period. The Hounds played, the Hounds played, I believe, it was like 10 in 40, and now they got another 8 in 30. So if you break down the quarters of the season, and Bob Lilly talked about this in the post-game press conference, if you break down the quarters of the season, they're about to turn the corner. In a month, they're going to make the turn and complete it. With a tough trip to Charleston, a tough trip to Charlotte, and a trip to Hartford, sandwiched in with 3 home games against Miami on Wednesday, August the 11th. That's a 6 o'clock kick at Highmark Stadium. We'll be down there from Three Rivers Broadcasting. Wednesday, August 18th, Tampa comes to town. It could be first place on the line at least this point in the season. I don't stress too much about the positioning right now. The points are important, but we'll start talking about real positioning as we hit the end of September and into October, where at the end of September and into October, there is a stretch where 4 of the last 6 are here, including a Sunday home game in October with the Tampa Bay Rowdies on October the 10th. And then they end the regular season with 2 of them at home, Charleston and Hartford again. That's favorable. They got to get through this month with some good results. But Notts County John was sitting with him, Man City Tim, the Tartans. They said, they start doing this as the season goes along. It usually starts out somewhere down here, and then it does one of these. And somewhere around October, you're reaching the peak. That's what Bob Lilly does. Absolutely fantastic performance from the Riverhounds, start to finish, to get the job done. Tough road trip coming up against Charleston on a short week. They'll get about 3 days of training in this week. Then they'll be traveling on Thursday for a Friday match. And then you kind of turn another short. Everything's short turns now. You got Friday, so there's Saturday, and you got Sunday, Monday. Tuesday's kind of your light training day. Wednesday, you have Miami. Thursday, off. Friday, travel to Charlotte. Saturday, game, come back. Then you do it all over again. You got Wednesday, Tampa. At least there's no travel in those 2. You got Wednesday, Sunday, home. 18th, 22nd. And then you get a normal week. A normal week as you run into the end of August. And then a little more congestion there. 28th, 1st, and 4th. Then it rolls back into once a week. So this next month will probably determine playoff positioning for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. I know we're far away from it to talk about the table, but the points they can gain right now are going to be important come October. Because if they can give themselves a buffer, that 4 of 6 at home may not mean as much. If they stumble here, you might need to take all 4 of those to claim 12 points to try to top the table. It's possible. Well, I'm not going to speculate on it too far, but the next month is going to be important. Take that away from this. Well, the clock on the wall has caught up with us, so I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Corner Kick tonight on Three Rivers Broadcasting. Brought to you by our fine partner, Mother of Mercy Academy and the Guard Market. Great show as always. It'll be archived, and you can catch it on the YouTube probably just about a half an hour. It should be accessible for everybody. And stay tuned. We've got the news and then Street Corner Doo-Wop with Steve Fox up next. God bless. Have a great night. And we'll see you next time